Hello everyone, Box Salesman here, and this vid I'll be showing you my build. My build is basically an Infernal Blow Duelist, but it can also be played as a Marauder. It will have the exact same skill tree, so that doesn't matter. And I'm using a one-hander and a shield, so it's basically a tanky version of the build, which is very good at AoE DPS, but is a bit worse at single target. Okay, so I'll start by showing you the tree, and explain a bit why I took certain things. Okay, so we start off with the melee physical damage nodes and the life. This is really important because we are a life build, so this is a really nice start. Then we also take these armor nodes because these are really strong together. They are 52% armor and 6% life for only 3 nodes. So that's amazing. Now we just continue. These aren't that great, but we just take them to pass through. Then these 4 life nodes, again very good. And here's a 12% all resist node. You should be taking this to level up, but endgame you want to respec out of it. That's what I did. Okay, also we'll be picking up every endurance charge that we can get, because these are just amazing for the build, as you'll see later. So we just keep going through. I took this 30 dexterity node mainly because I'm using a sword that has a high dexterity requirement at the moment. So you don't need to take it, just depends on where you are and what your stats are at the moment. So I just passed through, and here I took 2 sword nodes, but you don't have to take these. It's just because I use a sword I took these 2. Like, if you would be using a mace, you would probably be getting these 3, and it all depends on what you use. You can use either a sword, an axe, or a mace. Just take your pick, and adjust the build a little bit depending on what you take. I'll first walk you over the build with swords. So these 2 sword nodes, then we just continue on. These 2 live nodes are very strong, some live leech, who doesn't want that, and increased fire damage because Infernal Blow does fire damage. Then we just go on, another endurance charge, always pick these, a very good live region node, so pick this one as well. Then we go on to this Marauder part. This is basically a part that almost any melee live build takes, because these nodes are really strong together. It's all a bunch of life, reduced crit, so you get stunned less, you get shocked less. It's really important, those reduced crit nodes. Then higher max resist, obviously. And here Resolute Technique, because the build is pretty bad with crits, so just don't bother about crits and just get your accuracy to 100%. And then we go on to the Templar area. Here you can pick up either mace nodes, axe nodes, or sword nodes. They're all really strong. So I took the sword nodes here because I have a sword, but actually the axe and the mace nodes are even better than the sword nodes here. So as you can see, they give both armor and very high physical. And armor is very important for the build also. So we go into Templar here, take up another endurance charge, take some free armor and max resist here, and also some energy shield, which will be good for the end game version of the build. I'll explain that later also. Then we go through this elemental damage just to get some more damage, and I found these 3 to be more useful than these 2 nodes because the armor on these is pretty low. So I chose to go a bit the long way but get more damage. Then we take all these live nodes because they're very strong again, and here the one-hand physical node. This is a really good one for 1 point. Then we also take the Amplify for increased radius of area skills and damage, which is really good with the melee splash and Infernal Blow explosion, so you get twice the use. Also, this is 10 int, and you often need intellect. Like almost any melee build is often short on intellect. Then we go up again, and here we take these shield nodes. These give really nice resists, give you some increased defenses from shield, and here's some spell block also. I find spell block to be very, very strong, as spells is like our biggest enemy of the build. We have high physical reduction, high block chance, but spells get annoying. I'll talk about that also in the endgame version of the build. Like, the endgame version will be really good against everything, but the crappy gear version that I'm using now is only really good against melee attacks, but is also very, very good against spells anyway, but spells is still the weak part. Then we take these live nodes, because this one is pretty strong. This is now the level 77 version of the build. If you want to get higher level, you could take these 4 nodes, increase the effect of auras you cast. This is pretty good because Hatred is a really strong aura, and we also use Clarity, so these things are also a bit like a mana regen aura. Also, reduce mana reserve, so we can level up the clarity even higher. Then, if you want to get even more higher level, you could just take more sword nodes. Like, here's another armor physical node. Or you could take these two 8% life nodes. More life is always good. I'll probably be taking these next, actually. And yeah, just keep putting in points wherever they're good. Also, the really endgame version with an Aegis Aurora needs a lot of block chance. So once you get an Aegis Aurora, you want to take like this block chance here. This is 6% for only 2 points, which is really good. You can take another 2% and another 2% here. And then we can also go up here, take this int node, and then you can get 2%, 2%, and 4%. So that's 8% for 4 nodes, so that's again 2% per node, and an extra 10 intellect. So these 4 are a little bit better than 2% nodes, because you get the free intellect also. And you can basically pick up quite a lot of additional block chance at higher level also. And you'll see why it's so useful in the endgame version of the build. Also, here is some armor that you can take. I haven't taken it yet because this armor node is much better. And yeah, but there's still a lot of levels to go and a lot of places to put points if you want to. Okay, I've been rambling on a lot about the skill tree now, so I'll just quickly get to my gear. It's not that good of a gear because I'll show you /H. My character is only 4 days and 20 hours old, which is almost exactly how old this league is because I made it as soon as it started. Here's my sword. This is the reason I'm using swords, because I found this one, and this one is really good in my opinion, at least for so early in the game. Of course later you will find much better, but this is basically the reason I'm using swords. If you find a better mace, you just take mace nodes. If you find a better axe, you take axe nodes. But most of the nodes in the build are one-handed melee damage, so you can swap around. If you're still leveling and you didn't find a very good weapon, don't take any specific nodes yet, because you will have to respec out of them. Just keep with the one-hand melee nodes. Okay, I'll just quickly go over because I'm rambling too much again. These are my gloves, just some life and resist. That's basically what you do on everything. You get life and you get resist. Just get your resist capped. Even without endurance charges, they should be capped. It's really important. And also, you can get plus physical damage on amulets, rings, and gloves. Plus physical is really good for the build. Okay, but I'll just continue. This is just another life resist belt. Again, life resist and movement speed. This is mainly for mana, so I have less mana problems, and also because I didn't find anything better yet. This amulet is a lot of life, again mana regeneration, plus physical. Here's another ring. This ring is really good, I think. Also, you see here, there's physical damage leeches mana. You need this on at least one item. It's a must for the build or you will have mana problems. And just only having 1% already solves almost all these mana problems, and having 2%, they're almost non-existent. So, have mana leech on something, on gloves, on ring, on amulets, just try to find it. Then here's my helm, just again, life resist. Then here's my chest, this is mainly resist. Not a lot of armor, not a lot of life. Here's my shield, which is just armor and resist and life again, just the same everywhere. And basically, late game I will want to replace this with Aegis Aurora, which means every time I block a hit, I get back energy shield. And also in the tree I actually got a bit of energy shield nodes. So the energy shield from Aegis Aurora will be increased. It will also be increased by intellect, because that gives energy shield also. And we will also take Rainbow Stride boots late game, because those boots give spell block and also give a lot of energy shield. So Aegis Aurora and Rainbow Strides combined will give you enough block and spell block to constantly regenerate the 500 ES you will have at end game. And every time you block, which will be more than 50% with Aegis Aurora, you will get back all that 500 ES, because you will have a lot of armor. So basically, you become close to immortal to any kind of attack except spells. But still, spells, with Rainbow Strides and the node in the tree, you will have 37% spell block. So again, even spells, you will regenerate a lot of ES on spells. So that's basically how the build becomes extremely tanky. Now, I'll show you the build in action. You will see I do a lot of AoE damage, but my single target isn't that amazing. Also keep in mind, it's only 5 days since the league start, I only have physical damage on my amulet really, so the gear is really shitty, especially on the DPS department. But I'll show you doing a Dried Lake map, that's with the unique Roa, with double unique, that I can tank double unique Roa so early in the league, so only 5 days after release. I won't show you the whole map because that just takes too long. These guys are resist fire. Keep in mind almost all my damage is fire, so it won't be that amazing. As you can see, they just explode, and problem with these mobs is kinda that they don't crowd very well. So this is Allies Reflect Elemental. As you can see, they really don't give any problems because the tankiness of this build is so amazing. Very high life region. Very, very high. Also, after this short demonstration, I'll explain the skills I use. I just wanted to show them in action first before I explain all of them. I'm not really clearing everything now because you guys don't want to watch like a 15-minute undergeared duelist clearing a map. So I'll just get to the uniques fast. Also, these guys normally like change into a second form, but because Infernal Blow explodes them, they don't change into the second form, so that's really useful. Where are these Roas? Also, I'm using flammability now, but if you have like fights that are harder, you better use Enfeeble or Temporal Chains. Okay. Just continuing now. Here's a melee pack of some zombies. Like as you see, I just get them down slowly and then bam, one big explosion. And they die fast. Nice mountain ledge. I'm just continuing now. Here's the double uniques. And you'll see, it's just easy mode to tank them. Like, I don't know if you guys tanked this on an undergeared character, but normally they hit like crazy. And this was just a joke really. That was it. You saw my gear, it's not that amazing. It was pretty easy to kill this. And I'm convinced this build is really, really good on the tankiness department, but it's, yeah, as you see, the damage isn't there yet. I really need some physical, a better weapon, but I guess that will come. Well, I don't guess, I know it will come. Okay, so now let's go over my links really quickly. This is also one of the reasons I don't have high enough damage, is because I only have a 4 link. On my 4 link I use Infernal Blow, obviously, Melee Splash and Multi-Strike. These 3 are a must, and actually this 4th one is also a must on the 4 link. No doubt about it, these are the ones you need to use on your 4 link. Then if you get a 5 link, you will add Weapon Elemental damage. I got it here. This Weapon Elemental damage is a more multiplier on all your elemental damage, so it's really good. And as a 6th link, you will add either faster attacks or added fire damage. It's a bit up to personal choice. Most people go for faster attacks because faster attacks boosts every kind of damage, so also the physical. And doing that will make you life leech and mana leech more. Added fire will only give you fire damage, so it won't make you leech more. So basically, you kind of have to take a choice. Most people take faster attacks. Then this 4 link is very important. Very, very important. It's cast when damage taken, Molten Shell, Enduring Cry, and Summon Skeletons. As you saw in the map, or didn't see because you weren't paying attention, every time I take 440 damage, I summon 2 skeletons, I cast Enduring Cry, and I use Molten Shell. So I constantly have the armor bonus from Molten Shell, I have skeletons to protect me, and I cast Enduring Cry. Keep in mind though, Enduring Cry has a 4-second cooldown, and using cast when damage taken won't go past this cooldown, so only once every 4 seconds, but that's enough to keep your charges up anyway. Okay, so now I explained my main damage, I explained this 4 link, and then my auras. Reduce mana, you need this, and Hatred. Hatred is really amazing because it scales on physical damage, and it's basically a more multiplier because it adds a percentage of your damage. And there's Clarity, which is mainly to solve mana problems, and also because any other aura is percentage based and it would just take too much mana, so that's why we use Clarity. And that's basically it already. Like, if you have your 6 link, a 4 link, and a 3 link, you already have all the important links. And after that, it's just utility spells. Like, I have Leap Slam with faster attacks. Like, it's to get around faster and to jump over things. Then I have an extra decoy totem for really difficult things. I put a decoy totem before I'd start fighting. Then there's Flammability, my curse. This is just for damage. But if I have more sockets, I would also put Enfeeble. Just cast Enfeeble on more difficult bosses, like the Orkyard boss, or Piety, or the more difficult ones. And here I have a 4 link for single target damage, but basically just ignore this one, because as soon as you have a 5 link, you will only use Infernal Blow, even for physical damage. It's only if you have a 4 link that having a separate single target spell is better for bosses. And if you do want this, you will take Frenzy. Ignore these links because they're really bad. You will take Frenzy, melee physical damage, multi-strike, and added fire damage. I just didn't have a spare multi-strike and melee physical damage, so that's why these links aren't very good. And that's really all there is to it, so you have a few sockets left to play around with if you want. Just put in whatever you want or whatever you think you can use. Maybe you could even do a cost when stuns combination. Just put on some useful spells there, but the build shouldn't be stunned often, so it's quite a waste. But if you have the sockets open anyway, why not do it? And that's basically the build. I hope everything is clear now, and I hope the demonstration was enough to convince you that with better gear, this build would be really amazing. Bye guys!